And I started to realize that although there's no man in my house, my son is surrounded by a plethora of men. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Tuesday podcast. I'm Cris Cavallari. Fear, doubt, anxiety, a lot of things will keep you silent. And the problem with that is like almost like when you don't take a shit, like you're constipated and it's just like you that was a little TMI. But I feel like we've all been constipated at one point in our lives. So we all know the feeling, right? And I realize there's a lot of guys that tune into the podcast now. So I keep like birth, like they're gonna be like, how does that feel? Like you gotta take a big shit. Like it feels like a boulder is coming out your ass. But a lot of times when we hold everything in, it just gets very uncomfortable. And I would first want to say this. I'm a passionate speaker, right? And I've been working on my delivery for a long, it ain't been that long, a couple years. I'll say 2 years. I've been working on understanding that I can say the right thing, but if it's said the wrong way, it may be misconstrued. Somebody's gonna chop it up and sometimes that's okay too, because what they heard was, their ear gate that they heard it the way their minds is, right? But I still want to be mindful in conveying some of these messages, because one thing for sure, I can only now speak about it because I've accepted it. And because now it's like boiling water. Like you just before you just like you have to get things out and it doesn't come out right. You got to kind of let that water simmer down. Let it cool off before you sip your tea. You ever try to drink your tea too fast, your hot drink, your soup, and you burn your tongue? Like I'm working on making sure that the message is not missed because of my delivery. And I know a lot of y'all don't like my man, Mr. West. But a lot of times the man ain't saying a lot of stuff wrong. He just can't. In my opinion, he's like he's just screaming like he can't get it out. And he's just kind of fed up. I mean, I feel like maybe he did calm down. I don't know. I don't follow like that, but I like to remember the old thing. But I also know that when you are tired of suppressing your voice, when you're tired of, keeping the peace, and you're suffering by keeping the peace, or you could save somebody by telling the truth or just saying, hey, I understand it because I've been through it. When I'm speaking of things now, it's only after I've had an awakening like, oh, okay, this makes sense. It's after I shifted my mindset that I could say, okay, I see. That's why I don't have to take that personal, because that wasn't a me thing. That was a that thing. And, or I allowed these things, so this thing happened. It's just seeing the full picture instead of half, right? Most of my biggest fears when it comes to motherhood, I see things now and I'm like, oh, okay. Like this makes sense. And I also realized by me being on assignment to assist you through, it may upset or leave a disdain in someone's palate. My new thing when I'm speaking on situations, and this is funny because I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, oh, I got to talk about that on the podcast. And they're like, no, don't talk about that. I'm like, well, no, it happened to me. It was something, it wasn't anything bad. Maybe not to me. It was bad. Well, fuck it. It was bad. Let me just say this. It was bad, but not bad like something crazy. Somebody sent a video. Never mind. A girl did something and try to make, yeah, you get it. So I had to say like, yo, when I'm speaking on, like, this is something this is a teachable moment. These are teachable moments. I am obligated. I am obligated to tell you not to do what I did, to avoid that pothole right there, like go around it. I'm obligated to say, you don't have to do that. You could do this. People like, I walk so you can run, all that type of stuff. Yeah, I went through that so I could tell you, hey, I survived it. I didn't want to go through that. First of all, I didn't sign up. Well, maybe I did. So, whatever. Before I got here, I told God that I was cool with this. And now I got to live it out, right? But I was thinking about that because my friend yesterday said like, oh, no, don't talk about, man, come on, don't talk about that. And I'm like, if it's teachable and it happened to me, I'm going to tell you like I say now, if you don't want it talked about, don't do it. You can't tell somebody X, Y, and Z. Now, there's a way we could talk about this. We're going to talk about it in a teachable moment instead of like, yeah, let me tell you what such and such you did. No. This is a thing like, hey, this was crazy. Don't do that. So y'all want to know what happened. Anyway, somebody sent something to my phone. I've never been a girl to go through a guy phone. I don't want to say I ever let somebody cheat in peace. I just was never really that deeply invested. I could really say that. Dang. And not even that I had to go through your phone. My dream would tell me, or a feeling that I would have, like something is off. You can always tell when something's off. But somebody sent something from the phone to my phone, and it was like, girl, you didn't have to do that. You done wasted your petty on sending something to somebody that we don't talk, but you done showed me this that I just never went through anybody's phone. The dream's gonna tell me, my body's gonna tell me. That's the crazy part. But when I said it, I was like, I had to say like, no, this is a teachable moment, because if you feel as though you have to do this to get a reaction from this and to stop this person from doing that, you're doing too much. But also, I had to tell them that because I started thinking about the topics and things that I wanted to discuss and how I want to say, this and how I want to talk about that. But how would someone feel? Like, I can't believe she told them. Like, why do we got to keeping y'all secrets? Like, why do you think you deserve the respect of hiding something that you've done? Like, why do I have to stay face for you? Like, no. Facebook done reminded me 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago that, the person that made me have this trauma. No, I'm kidding. But no, Facebook do that shit all the time. Like, you bringing up all these old memories with these people that are gone, okay? But it's the truth. Like, if you don't want someone to talk about it, if you're going to be embarrassed by your actions, choose better actions. Because you can't say, hey, can you keep no, I can't. The closet where the skeleton's at is wide open. Matter of fact, you ever been to an apartment and it don't even have a door? Like a linen closet in the bathroom, you see all the stuff, all the shit, all the stuff. This is how this door, this thing is built right here. And even myself, because I had to go through it to grow through it. I had to experience it to be able to say, don't worry about that. This is that, and this is a catalyst for your growth. And even though we are not ready to always say, because baby, I'll be like, I don't want to grow, God. Like, you really don't. I don't want to do this. But now when things happen because there are always going to be things. Now, when something happens, you can understand. Oh, this is a setup for this thing. This is going to be great after this. Because before anything magical could happen in your life, before you could really like say, you got to be like down. You got to be down. There's the only way to be built. Like it's only up from there. Like if you're down, you can only come up. So when I'm still like, oh, I want to make sure I say this the right way. Not because I'm still protecting, but because I'm being mindful of speaking energy into something that is dead, but I still want to be able to teach you the outcome. I still want to show you how to get to this, into that, right? I wrote some things down, and when I was looking at it, I think I was home dancing, doing my own little thing. And I had a moment of just like, like, and I got overwhelmed with great emotions. And I called my two friends who happen to be my son's godfathers. And I was so overwhelmed with emotions of gratitude, and that's when my mindset shifted on what we lacked and what we, or lack. Well, we didn't lack, actually. What I thought we were going to lack, I realized that we didn't. I'm trying to think of how I want to tell you this. I think I want to tell you this like this. If you're a mom and you have a son, you're thinking, well, K. Michelle said, I can't raise no man. Like you really be like, damn, we can't. But what we can do is surround them with different individuals, whether that be authors or artists, uncles, the barber, like people that you really literally like. I had to think like this. Let me say how I say it. Shit, it'll come together. When I realized that when my son had a game night at school and his Uncle Brandon had to take him, he had somebody. When we go to the barber shop and his barber, Brian, when I first started taking him there, they was like, barbershops are like sacred ground for men. So, boys and men and whatever. And they like, come on, man. And the first time I said, y'all ain't gonna do this. Because I'm a mom, right? And I'm like, oh no, don't do that to him, do this. And it was all out of love, but it was like that joking, fun love. And after months of going to that barbershop, he's ready to, if he's not tired, because kids just whatever, but he's ready to go in there because they're doing sit-ups and they doing jumping jacks and they shooting baskets, and he's around the men in the barbershop. When he's with his Uncle Oba and he's sketching and drawing and, just asking questions. When he's watching Spider-Man and this, and like there's so many thoughts that came to my mind that night. Sometimes we think that because we don't have a man in the house. It could be a man in the house that's not even a man. It could be a man in the house that is leading by example, and it doesn't mean in a good way. There could be dysfunction in the house, or there could be peace in the house. Like it's totally about perspective. And I started to realize that although there's no man in my house, my son is surrounded by a plethora of men, good men. And I know sometimes we get to talking on a podcast and, on other podcasts, and it's women versus men, and it's like we can't seem to coexist, but that's actually not true. I don't have anything against men. Well, I do have one thing against you, but that's something that only time and self-reflection will teach that person. Like, that's not something that is going to happen overnight. And that's just holding others accountable in their presence, just like you hold them accountable in their absence. I'm gonna say a story real quick. I remember a friend of mine, a childhood friend. I remember something her father said to me when we were younger. I remember a friend's father, her parents were together, and I was always envious over two-parent households. Always. Like, oh, I just wish. And, my mother got married, but it was like, later on, I'm already grown, baby. I'm already 15. So, it has to happen early, right? I was envious because I just thought like, and now that I think about it, I think it was something that her father said to me because he said it later on, but I could feel it, Single parent households are always looked up like, frowned like, oh, well, men too, because I know a lot of single dads that are full-time parents. So this is just on both ends. But I remember my childhood friend at the time, her father saying to me, yeah, because if I was your dad, you wouldn't have had a baby you wouldn't have had a baby young. And I was just kind of like, damn. I mean, there's some truth in that, but was it necessary? Then we grew up. And I realized there was a lot of dysfunction in her house. Then I realized her father was dealing with some things and his own demons, and, it ended up being a part of his demise. But I always felt that, like, dang, something's missing because it's not two people here. It wasn't until a couple years ago I realized one healthy parent is better than two toxic parents. And that's not putting a blame on that person or this person. It's just saying, if these two people cannot coexist, if these two people, one can't meet the other one halfway, because some people just can't coexist. Some people, there's some situations that it's not completely toxic. It's just what it is. But there's some that are really not going to, it doesn't guarantee a healthy child just because there's two parents in the house. They could be in that room with that door closed arguing. Kids feel energy, so y'all walking past us like we night and day and we not speaking. There's a lot of things. So when I grew up and I learned this about this friend's dad and what his life really was and who he really was outside of his judgment for me being a teen mom, I started to look at my friend and I said, ooh, you accept that because you've seen that in your household. And I started realizing, although there's no man in the household, my son gets a piece of this, a piece of this, a piece of this, a great piece of this. He still has his father, but I'm saying in my life, we talk about my life on a daily basis, because that's not a daily basis. On a daily basis, you are surrounded by greatness. Whether it's art on your wall that's done by a Black man, whether you're seeing a strong Black man this way or a strong white man, a man in general. And I got very much so like in a space of like, okay, you got basketball coaches, you got a karate coach. Oh, shout out to his karate coach. But I started to see that it was up to me to place him and position him around people. It may just be a sprinkle. Some of us ladies, that's what we gotta really start looking at. If I could just build one person, I could just sprinkle it. I started realizing you may not get it from one person. You may have a piece from here, may have a piece from here. And that allowed me to let go of that false narrative, like it's only good if there's two people here. Some of these kids don't have a fighting chance because they're seeing what you are allowing. They're seeing disrespect firsthand. I was emotional one day. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm getting close to 40, but I'm driving and I'm thinking about something and I'm a little whatever. I almost lied. I was driving, but I had a phone call prior to me driving to pick my son up. And it was something that got me a little in my feels. And my son's never seen me like this. And he said, I love your happy tears. If that didn't snap me out of my feels when it came to something that was minute, I then remembered they're seeing our interactions with everyone. They're feeling our energy shift and how important it is for me to do my work so it doesn't affect him. To only exchange energy with people that are bringing the same energy, like they're coming up to where we are. And I really think about that. I think about how I hear some people like, oh, because soon as she get home, the energy shifts in here. As soon as he gets home, he's bringing this drama from work. And I'm not saying that that's not going to happen when the time comes. What I'm saying is you got to check that shit at the door. That I can only allow those around and inside that are on the same journey. And if that's pieces to make a whole, a win is a win. A win is a win, okay? I think about that. I think about that often. I'm not even sure if any of this is making sense. But pieces from here and there is still a whole. Because you can get a whole bag of bullshit, like one thing, or you can get little small pieces and make this masterpiece. It's just a lot. But I'm gonna tell you, that friend's father, that was a piece that I now understood, where that stuck with me. Like, how do you tell somebody that